Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Jason Cappuccino ng Sashes&Scripts, and today we will be discussing yung mga events, mga pre-pageant activities ng Binibining Pilipinas that the Binibining Pilipinas candidates should pay attention to. So today, pag-uusapan natin which of these events have much importance in the overall scheme of things, and pag-uusapan natin kung ano at bakit sila importante. Now, before we continue with the video, gusto ko muna sanang i-explain kung bakit I have been almost silent for the past 3 months. And the reason for that is because I had some personal issues that I had to face. My mom, who was battling ovarian cancer, passed away last April, and it took me some time to find the strength back to go back to the channel and record stuff. And this past several months has been struggle personally, because it's not easy to see and watch someone you love, a member of your family, to slowly fade away. And with all the challenges that it came and it brought, I felt that I needed time and space to process the grief, to process the mourning, to process the emotions that came along with that. And it hasn't been an easy 3-4 months for me on the personal side. But now here I'm back, and I'm hoping that I'm able to still capture your attention when it comes to the pageant topics that I'm discussing. And I hope that in the future I'll be able to share more about the struggles, the mental health struggles that that comes along with caring for a family member who has the big C, as they say. So in the next several months, if you see me posting on social media or mentioning on videos here on the channel about cancer, women's health issues, please understand that it comes from a good place. It comes from a place of experience where I hope that through my personal experience, I am able to shed light on some struggles on the on facing those illnesses. So I hope that you become patient with me in whenever I discuss those and share something that is personal. Now, on to the topic. There are several pre-pageants along the 2-month long Binibining Pilipinas na competition. And kadalasan sa atin, hindi maintindihan kung ano yung importansya ng bawat activity na ito, and how does it factor in with the criteria of judging ng Binibining Pilipinas. You might think that, or rather some of you might think that itong mga pre-pageant activities na to wala siyang bearing, or wala siyang kinalaman sa kalalabasan ng semi-finalists later on in the finals night. But I disagree with that notion, kasi based on years of experience and years of observing the Binibining Pilipinas pageant, whether via social media, via online, or via actual coverages, may napansin ako na there are several crucial pre-pageant activities where umuugma ang mga pre-pageant activities na ito with certain criteria of judging ng Binibining Pilipinas. And that is what I wanted to discuss in this video, because I want to shed light on how these pre-pageant activities are important in terms of the judging criteria ng Binibini. Okay, so as I said, these are all personal observations, but that doesn't mean that these observations are not grounded on factual na mga events na nangyayari, and it does not mean that these observations are not based on data. So I hope na you take this, with a little bit grain of salt, but at the same time, treat this, a little bit more seriously, especially if you are a Binibining Pilipinas candidate this year, or even, in the future, if you want to apply for Binibining Pilipinas in the future. So, first things first, intindihin muna natin kung ano yung mga criteria ng judging for Binibini, and based, on news reports, based on mga posts on social media ng mga naging past panelists sa pageant. The criteria of judging is as follows. Beauty of face is around 50%. Beauty of figure is around 30%. Intelligence is around 10%. And poise and personality around 10%. Now, there are rumors that in the past several years, yung intelligence is given a larger chunk at naging 20% na ito. And so it means that there is perhaps some merging of the poise and personality with the intelligence na factor. So what does this mean overall, and its relationship with the events leading to the finals of Binibini? Because as you all know, this time around, by the time that the finals have been the finals is already taking place, the top 40 have already been narrowed down from 40 girls to a set of maybe around 16 to 20 na semifinalists. And how does that cut happen if in case na walang competition nangyayari after the introduction of candidates, and then automatically they are narrowed down to the semifinalists? So of course, iisipin natin that there is perhaps a correlation between the pre-pageant activities versus the judging criteria, especially that we know na walang pre-pageant or walang preliminary competition ng Binibini. Unless baguhin nila yan this year at maisipan nila na magkaroon ng preliminary competition. But based on historical basis of what happened in the years past, ito ngayon yung interpretation natin on how the pre-pageant activities could possibly be scored based on the criteria ng Binibining Pilipinas. Now, in my observation, I feel that the beauty of figure is judged during the Binibining Pilipinas press presentation. Dito kasi sa press presentation, ang mga girls lumalabas and is presented to the media wearing swimsuits. And it is in that event that we know for a fact that the panelists, the Binibining Pilipinas Executive Committee, comprised by SMA and several other stalwarts in the pageant industry, are there present and taking notes on the performance of the girls during the presentation. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Binibigyan ba sila ng score? Binibigyan ba sila ng judging criteria? Sinasabihan ba ang mga girls na ito bang press presentation na ito is scored event? We are not privy to that information. Kung meron ngang judging na nangyayari. But looking at the behavior of the panelists during the press presentation, lahat sila may notes, may ballpen na nakalagay sa mesa as if they are observing the performance of the girls during the press presentation. So, ibig sabihin na if they are taking mental notes on the girls and on their performance on the press presentation, there is a huge possibility na nai-scorean sila during that time. So it is important for the girls to really be at their best physical shape on that night or on that event, para hindi sila mabigyan ng mababang score, or hindi sila mabigyan ng less than spectacular na review. It is important that even if notes lang yung ginagawa ng mga execom during that time, they need to the girls need to put their best foot forward ika nga, in order for them to be remembered by the execom and the panelists, because ultimately sila naman yung magdidikta kung sino yung mga makakapasok later on sa semi-finalists. Now let's talk about the 10% that is the intelligence na criteria, or in some cases iniisip natin na around 20% siya. That score is perhaps being judged during the closed-door interviews and during the road to the crown na taping, wherein the girls, usually are given sets of challenges to pick their minds, to get to know the girls in terms of who they are, what they represent, what are the advocacies that they stand for, who they are as a person, and things that makes them human in the eyes of the pageant fans and the pageant community as a whole. Kasi kinakailangan humanized and approachable and relatable yung manalo, because the binibinis need to be able to represent a wide range of of people in the community. And I believe that it is during the closed-door interview and the road to the crown taping that the panelists and the executive committee of the Binibining Pilipinas pageant observe the girls in terms of how they think, how they speak, how they handle the nerve-wracking moments of having to speak in front of the camera. Perhaps if it is also the intelligence criteria has also been merged with the poise and personality na aspect, this is a possibility na yung road to the crown, yung closed-door interview would account for 20% of the entire judging criteria of the pageant. So imagine niyo yung laki nung importansya ng pre-pageant activity na ito, because it allows the girls to present themselves as possible Binibining Pilipinas spokesperson for the pageant. And that means that kinakailangan pagtuunan din ito ng pansin ng mga candidates in order for them to tumatak sa utak ng mga panelists, ng mga execom, kasi kinakailangan na dito pa lang they leave a good impression with the executive committee. So it is important that the girls should really hone their speaking skills, should be able to speak with relative ease regarding the issues and the opinions that they have on certain issues that that is close to their heart, or the advocacies that they stand for. So there is a need that there is a need for them to have that kind of finesse when it comes to speaking, and when it comes to being relatable when they communicate to the larger audience. And then the biggest chunk of the judging criteria is the beauty of face. And dito, sa tingin ko pumapasok yung national costume and fashion show na pre-pageant activity ng Binibini, because this is where the girls are glammed up and they are wearing their best outfits, whether it's their national costume or it's the jag jeans na fashion show. Dito tumatatak kung sino yung maganda ang rehistro sa camera, maganda ang rehistro sa personal, maganda yung rehistro sa bawat angulo that they show themselves in their poses, in their national costumes. So kinakailangan dito dapat maganda yung styling, maganda yung kutis ng mga girls in order for them to really stand out in a sea of 40 candidates, because dito sa national costume na to, or rather dito sa national costume presentation and fashion show, madalas ang labas nila in terms of changes, and so they need to be able to find the looks that works for them, whether it's the national costume show or it's the jag denim show, or it's the segment of other sponsors. So kinakailangan they are able to find the looks that works best for them in order for them to really get a huge jump in the beauty of face na category. Gusto ko rin ipaalala sa mga girls na this is a crucial moment for you because ito yung pinaka malaki yung chunk perhaps ng judging criteria. And ito madalas ang isa sa mga huli na mga activities ng mga girls. It is usually scheduled, closer towards the finals. And dito kinakailangan magpakitang gilas yung mga candidates because they're are essentially, fighting for 50% for half of their score. It doesn't matter if you get the intelligence points 100%. It doesn't matter if you get the press presentation right. If you don't get, the 50% beauty of face na criteria in the national costume or the fashion show na event. Now, you might be thinking, but there are other, events ng Binibini that could possibly also be scored events. I would agree especially with the Parade of Beauties because kung pinaghiwalay nila yung intelligence at yung poise and personality na aspeto, there is a possibility na yung poise and personality is judged during the Parade of Beauties because at the Parade of Beauties, mainit, you are exposed in your swimwear and you are parading outside the Araneta grounds, and kadalasan, maraming fans, maraming gustong kumuha ng picture with you, and it is a very stressful moment for some candidates na hindi sanay na naka-swimsuit sila in public. And I think that is where the poise comes in, where whoever breaks during that time, whoever does not feel comfortable with themselves during that time, hindi makapag-perform well in that event. And I think that's that's something that the candidates should really try to think of because this is a part of the competition that that probably tinitignan yung behavior na aspect ng mga candidates. So kinakailangan you are mentally prepared with what happens during the Parade of Beauties na event. And of course, there will be some people na magtatanong, sir, so wala bang weight yung talent na portion? I would think that there is, but not in the scoring aspect, but rather on the observational aspect where the judges or the panelists, the Binibining Pilipinas Execom, would observe the behavior of the girls during this aspect of the competition. Kasi instead of looking at the girls, talents, ang tinitignan nila is how they carry themselves, whether they are presenting their talents on stage or they are they're spectators in among the audience. I think that kapag nandyan ang Binibining Pilipinas Execom present, whether it's 2 or 3 or even just 1 among the Execom is present, kinakailangan ng mga candidates are alert and on their toes because kung sino man ang nandyan na nag-o-observe sa kanila, any feedback that these people from the BBCI group nakakarating yung mga observations, yung mga notes nila to the higher ups. So these are just some of the events that I personally believe na kinakailangan pagtuunan ng pansin ng mga girls, especially if if our speculations are correct that these are the areas where the candidates are being scored or judged. However, there is also several other pre-pageant activities like the talent show, the rehearsals and taping for the Binibining Pilipinas primer that the candidates need to be aware of their behavior. Kasi I don't think that yung mga nabanggit kong events are the only events where they are being judged. Because in my experience, yung mga nababanggit sa akin ng mga Binibining Pilipinas insiders is that ultimo yung mga black boys ng Binibini, yung mga chaperones, yung mga members ng marketing team that are part of the organization, they are also observing the girls and the candidates, and their opinions, their thoughts on the candidates are being asked, I believe, or being taken into consideration whenever the girls are being judged. I believe na may katotohanan yung sinasabi nila na yung mga chaperones, kung ano yung mga sumbong nila sa mga higher ups, nagkakaroon ng bearing sa overall na 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 impression sa mga girls. And of course, the Binibining Pilipinas pageant, or rather the BPCI, or would want to work with girls who, are professional, girls who are not difficult to work with, girls who, treat this like a job. Kasi ang importante na maintindihan ng mga girls is that being a beauty queen, you are subjected into a contract of around 12 to 16 to 18 months. And in that part of the in that period, you are part of the organization and you are the spokesperson, you are the public personas of the organization. So it makes sense that behavioral, behavior and attitude are part of the things that they are looking for in a winner. So ibig sabihin, lahat ng mga pre-pageant activities, whether they are scored or not, the girls should always be in their best behavior. They should always project within themselves an aura of professionalism, because these events, whether they are, especially when they are not, they're not scored, the girls tend to let their guards down. And I believe that when, you let your guard down and you are not sincere, nakikita kung sino yung mga may mga attitude, kung sino yung mga may mga kinakailangan ayusin sa behavior nila in the competition. And of course, ayaw din naman ng binibini that they will be working with girls who have issues, who have behavioral issues, who have attitude. They want to work with someone who is easy to work with. Anybody or any organization, would prefer people who are easy to work with. So kinakailangan isipin yun ng mga girls that every aspect, every activity they are in public, or they are meeting with the representatives of the organization, must be treated as if they are being judged. Because in any event that is not officially scored, you might not be scored with the talent competition, or the tapings or the pictorials that you have, but you are judged based on your behavior. Kung professional ka ba, kung madali ka bang kausap, kung hindi ka ba pasaway, kung hindi ka laging late, kung sinabi nila na okay, all cell phones turned off and leave it in the locker room, sumusunod ka ba sa directive na yon. Those are things that are so minute that hindi nakikita ng mga pageant fans, but those are things that would later on pile on kapag nakita nila na may behavioral issues ka, kung meron kang mga attitude na ipinapakita behind the camera. And this is why in the past, nakikita natin karamihan ng mga pageant favorites bigla na lang nalalaglag o hindi nakakapasok sa top 10. And that is because there are perhaps areas that are related to behavior and attitude na doon sila nalalaglag. So in summary, I believe that there are major pre-pageant events where the girls might be judged, and these are the national costume show, the press presentation, the closed-door interview. However, it does not mean that just because ito yung mga areas where they are scored properly, they would leave behind the decorum that they need to always present on other pre-pageant activities. Kinakailangan balanse and consistent yung kanilang behavior throughout the entire duration of the pageant. That is why ang pageant mismo is 2 months long, para makita ng organization, I would say, yung attitudes, yung behavior, yung professionalism ng mga girls. Because if the pageant is only around 3 weeks, 4 weeks, at walang observations na nangyayari yung mga members of the pageant organization on the girls, there is a possibility na pasaway yung makuha nilang reyna, and then it would be difficult to work with that person later on in her entire reign. So that is something that they really look up to during the 2-month-long na Binibining Pilipinas pageant. And I hope that the girls be mindful where whenever their attitudes are concerned, whenever their deliverables are concerned. Kasi ang importante dito is that kung sino ka, ano yung pagkatao mo, is presented in a nice way during this pre-pageant activity. And that you always put your best foot forward, and that you are sincere, and that you are, a genuine person, whether you are in front or behind the camera. Because a lot of the pre-pageant activities are going to grill you on your patience, your stamina, your ability to cope, and ability to pivot when situations don't come your way. So you need to be really mentally and physically prepared for the challenges ahead. And hindi lang ito yung mga pre-pageant events that you really need to focus your energies on. You always have to put on your best foot forward and your game face on in every aspect of activity ng Binibining Pilipinas, because as I've said, you might not be scored on the pre-pageant activities, but you are definitely being observed and judged on your behavior, on how you present yourself to the public. So I hope na everyone is able to learn something about this video, and I hope na you would help me grow the channel by sharing this this video to your friends, to your pageant friends, or pageant pageant girls that is aiming for a crown in this year's Binibining Pilipinas pageant, because I think that this video is going to be very helpful for them in the long run, in their campaign, and in their pageant journey this year. So I hope to see you again soon in the next video, and do take care. See you again, and